Welcome back, fellow college football fanatics. It's College Football with Sam, and today we have a very special guest joining us in former Nebraska Cornhusker defensive end Adam Carriker. He runs his own channel, talks about Nebraska, the NFL, and I decided to bring him on because I really enjoy his work. It's awesome to be talking with a former player and also someone who discusses the sport that I love so much, and I imagine he loves more. And also because it's a critical season for Nebraska with endless amounts of hype, a lot of expectations, high expectations. So we want to talk about the upcoming game this Thursday, some long-term expectations, and a little bit of nuggets about Matt Rhule. How are you doing today, and where can the people find you?
Dude, life is good. Life is glorious. You can find me on YouTube. Simply type in Carriker Chronicles. I kind of took that from Chronicles of Riddick, that movie back in the day, and then just put Carriker Chronicles in there. So if that helps anybody remember it. We also have a website, carrikerchronicles.com. I'm on social media, Facebook, X, TikTok as well.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad again that you could come on. Thank you for joining me. And I want to be fully honest and transparent. I picked Nebraska to beat Cincinnati this Thursday, but I do have some concerns about this matchup, and I actually took Cincinnati to cover that 7-point game, thinking that Nebraska will win a close one there. Are there any concerns you have about Nebraska in this matchup, and what's your general feel for this game and a prediction if you have one right now?
Yeah, for Nebraska, there's just a whole bunch of it's like every team in college football, and Cincinnati is no different. They had 21 guys they brought in via the transfer portal, just so much new. Nebraska has a lot of new. They've got 3 new coordinators. Now, Dana Holgorsen was the offensive coordinator for about the last 4 or 5 games of the year. John Butler was the secondary coach. But as far as being full-time coordinators, Mike Eckler, the special teams coordinator, is new. So is Butler. So is Holgorsen technically. So you got new coordinators. You've got new transfer portal players. So it's just a whole bunch of new. On the offensive side of the ball, you do have some proven players. Dane Key is a transfer in, but he's a guy who could have been maybe a 3rd round, 2nd round pick had he gone to the NFL draft. You've got Ja'Cory Barney, who was rated by Pro Football Focus the number 2 graded true freshman wide receiver in the entire country last year, behind Jeremiah Smith. You know, nothing to be ashamed of there. You got Dylan Raiola coming back. You've got Emmett Johnson, a running back, coming back. So you feel good about those things. Defensively, the defensive line isn't big, athletic, talented, not uber experienced on the younger side. The second level of the defense, you've got some proven players there from Marquez Watson-Trent, who was the Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year. He has roughly 14 million career tackles, I think. I'm rounding down when I say that. So he's a tackling machine. He comes in with experience. So a lot of these guys are new, but they've got experience. I actually look at Cincinnati, and I wonder if Cincinnati's being overlooked and certain things about the team are being overlooked. They have to replace 4 of their top 5 pass catchers, but they brought in some pretty good guys via the portal as well. Their quarterback, dare I say, is more accomplished to this point in his career than Dylan. Maybe Dylan has a higher ceiling at this point, but Brandon Sorsby, he's a football player. He just finds ways to make plays. And like I said, probably more accomplished to this point right now. We'll see what we say 6 months from now, 2 months from now, etc. But he's a guy who's going to make plays. If you give him 5 yards, he'll take off and get 5 yards with his feet, can get 40, 50 yards rushing a game. You look at their tight end, Joe Royer, he's a guy that's no slouch in the run game, but can catch the ball and can create matchup issues. They brought in some guys via the portal for their wide receivers, some pretty good guys to keep your eye on as well throughout the game. So it's one of those things for me where I'm just hoping, I guarantee Matt Rhule's not overlooking Cincinnati, and that's what matters the most. I just hope people in general aren't overlooking Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think that is extremely valid. I think that Cincinnati has certainly some strengths and edges to their game that can help them in a matchup like this, which is very important for Nebraska. I was just listening to a little bit of Corn Crazed's live show where he was talking about how Nebraska has more to lose here, but Cincinnati certainly has a lot to gain in this matchup. Make sure everyone, once again, to subscribe to Carriker Chronicles on YouTube. Check out his website at carrikerchronicles.com. What do you think Nebraska's expectations for this season should be? And as a former player, I think that your input here is very important for what the long-term expectations should be. I am 22 years old. I've only known Nebraska as being, no offense, but honestly kind of a gutter team, like just a typical Big Ten West team. But historically, there's so much more than that. What do you think they need to do this year to make you feel like the season's a success? And how about the long term?
So when I did my preseason prediction win total for Nebraska, I didn't know what my win total prediction was going to be. I literally I sit down every year and I go through it and I'm like, win, loss, and I just see what it is at the end. It came out to 9-3. I was like, really? Really? We haven't won 9 games in almost a decade. So I went through and I did it again and I even changed a few things, but then this win went here and this loss, it still came out to 9-3. Because you don't know what games you're really going to win or lose. We're going to be heavy underdogs against Penn State. We're probably going to be favored of the other 11 games 9 times. So technically, we're probably on paper, the talent composite ranking, going to have the advantage 9 times. Now, does that mean you're going to win every time? No, it does not. Does that mean you're going to lose the other 3 times? No, it does not. I think in order for it to be a success, Nebraska needs to keep going in the right direction. There was a time when we'd fire 9 win coaches, Bo Pelini, Frank Solich. And actually the season that Solich was fired, I was on the team. We ended up with 10 wins. We won the bowl game after he got let go. Pelini became the interim head coach. Now, if you win 9 games, you're going to be celebrated at Nebraska. But for this season to be a success, 8-4. I'm looking at 8 wins, and I'm looking at 8. Not that the ceiling isn't higher or the floor isn't lower. I'm looking at 8 because last year was 7. And we hadn't been to a bowl game in umpteen years. And we hadn't beaten Wisconsin. And we hadn't had a winning season. And we hadn't won a bowl game. And we got all those little monkeys off our back. Okay. So let's just keep going the right direction. We won 7 games last year. The bare minimum for a successful season for me this year is 8. That just shows me we're going the right way. Now, I did predict 9-3. I wouldn't jump for joy with 8 wins. I would consider it a bare minimum successful season. Now let's keep building. 9 wins, I'd be pretty happy. If we're going to talk college football playoff, which has not come out of my mouth, not that we can't, nobody was talking about Indiana or SMU last year. So you never know what will happen. But you got to win 10. And then that strength of schedule, which isn't uber difficult, might actually hurt us. So we'll see what happens. 8 wins minimum. I think 9 is very realistic. Beyond that, we'll see what happens. Long term, got to keep getting better every year. Like if we win 8 games this year, then it's 9, then it's 10. Now the schedule 2 years from now is tougher. There's no Oregon on the schedule this year. There is in 2 years. There's no Ohio State this year. There is in 2 years. Penn State goes away. But that's kind of how I look at it, is just keep building, just keep getting better.
Yeah, I think that's what you can ask for right now. Do you think that Nebraska can still win a national championship in the current landscape of things? That's a question a lot of people have asked. I imagine you're bored to tears of it, but I figured I might ask it since you're here.
I absolutely do. So I've heard all sorts of things. Nebraska can't do it anymore. It's too cold. I'm married to a Nebraska gal, so this doesn't ring true for me, but their women aren't good looking enough. Like I've heard all these crazy things.
Wow.
Okay. Here's what I know. Osborne, and yes, this is going back in time, but then I'll bring it to present day. Osborne from 1973 to 1997 for 25 years under his being the head coach. Nebraska won more college football games than any other team in the country. They could have lost the last 16 games of his career and still won more games than any other program in the country. His last 10 games, and he struggled he lost 7 bowl games in a row at one point. His last 10 games versus top 10 ranked opponents, they were 10-0. They won those games by an average margin of victory of 21 points per game. Okay, Adam, that's football.
Whoa.
That's going back to 97. Yeah, those are insane stats. I'm like, okay, so let's go to another sport. Well, first of all, Pelini was winning 9 games every year. Solich was winning 9 games every year. So that can be done. That I think is very achievable. The expectations were so high that we had fired 9-win coaches, so we can absolutely get back there. You look at volleyball. I mean, they've got, 5 national championships. They've been in the Final Four every single year for the past 3 years, 2 of the past 3 national championship matches. This is all in the past 20 years. Nebraska didn't win their first national title in volleyball to 95. They've won 4 in the 2000s. So it can happen. Then you go to wrestling. All right. Mark Manning has been underrated until this year. He has coached over 20 All-Americans, and this year they finished number 2 in the country in wrestling. So we're talking multiple sports, multiple generations, multiple coaches. Will Bolt, back-to-back Big Ten championships in baseball. Like, it can be done. Is football different? College football different? Yeah, I think it's different now than it was when we started the interview. Things are always changing.
Yes. Amen.
You just need the right guy in charge.
Yeah, and that's actually a perfect segue to the final topic I wanted to bring to our attention. What's your assessment of Matt Rhule? What's one thing you love about him? One thing that sometimes has been a little bit shaky, and also a little bit about how do you like the 2027 recruiting class? Because that seems to be a class that could really level up Nebraska's talent level to get to that national championship.
Yeah, I think we've already got 2 5-stars, Trey Taylor at quarterback, and then you got Pittman out of Omaha, number 1 safety in the country, maybe the highest ranked recruit, I think, out of the state of Nebraska. Not that Nebraska's ever gotten, but out of the state of Nebraska. And he's committed to the Huskers. So already, I think, number 7 class in the country, at least last time I looked. So that's exciting. You look at what I like about Matt Rhule. Matt Rhule is legit grinding. Like, when I say legit grinding, I know what his schedule looked like because I talked with Troy Dannon in our AD in December and January, and I said, that's insane. That's crazy. And Troy's like, yeah, but he loves it. And you got to be a little bit abnormal to play defense, okay? You got to be a little bit abnormal to be a head coach in college football nowadays. So, but the biggest thing that I like about him is his willingness to adapt. He brought in a new offensive coordinator with a month to go in the season. Who does that?
No one.
But we got nobody. But we got better from it. He made a change, at special teams. A guy that was a special teams coordinator before has coached with Coach Rhule for decades, and it just wasn't working out. And so he's willing to adapt. The way he recruits has evolved. The way he views the transfer portal has evolved. He's willing to look in the mirror and say, I can do this better. That I like. Something that's been a little bit shaky. I mean, technically, he has an under 500 record so far in Nebraska. 1 game under 500. So we got to get to over 500, and then we got to get the wins to go up a little bit, and then, get some wins versus some Big Ten teams and hopefully some ranked teams down the road. It's been too long since we've had a win versus a ranked team. He's technically never beaten a Power 4 ranked team. So that's something as well, just to keep an eye on, so to speak.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you coming on. And again, everyone, make sure to check him out at Carriker Chronicles on YouTube, also carrikerchronicles.com as his official website where he talks Nebraska football and really anything relating to Nebraska. Am I right?
Yeah, all sports, all Husker sports, football, basketball, baseball, softball, all that good stuff.
All right. Well, make sure to check him out, and thank you all for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and also hit the notification bell for my Nebraska Football podcast, where if you only care about Nebraska football or that's a specific interest of yours, you'll want to follow that playlist. Thank you so much, and we'll see you around. Go Big Red.